Okay, welcome to my Museum of Roman Artifacts. I am Montana, you already know that. I don't know why I said that. So today, Miss Dividu, I will be guiding you through my website that I have made on your request of the rise and fall of the Roman Empire. So let's get started. So first, let's go to table of contents. This will be showing you where we will be going today. So we have geography, and then we have all of our artifacts by twos. So let's get into it. So into Rome Peninsula. We all know that it was one of the greatest. Excuse my dog barking in the back. I'm really sorry. It was one of the greatest empires that was there. It had many mountains, and they had rivers and stuff like that. So it's all here so you can read. And then Artifacts 1 and 2, the rise of Rome. So Mediterranean Sea. This helped Rome a lot with like trade and like transportation. It was like one of the biggest things. It was the biggest thing because it had food, and it's what made it able for them to, what's the word? It's what made it able for them to be able to expand so far to many places throughout the Mediterranean Sea. And then next we have the Roman Republic. The Roman Republic was founded about 509 BCE. It funded a new type of government called a republic. The highest form of government in Rome was the Senate, and to be in the Senate, you had to be a free-born rich male, which kind of made it sexist, not gonna lie. But it was the olden times, and that's how things were. So sorry, ladies. And let's move on to technology. So here we have architecture and the Roman dams. So we have one of the most well-known Arcadias, I guess that's the word. Their architecture was greatly influenced by the Greeks, and it was kind of amazing, not going to lie. And then we have the dams. So the dams were ways to, well, let's go back. So the Roman dams, they also had aqueducts. Aqueducts were a way to get water from the rivers or the lakes to go to the cities so they could have water to drink and water to cook with and water to bathe. Okay, Artifacts 5 and 6, domination by war. So, the Roman army, that was one of the biggest things that helped. So, like, they dominated because of expansion. They looked to, which is down here. We'll talk about that next. But the Roman army was very big, and each man had to serve a term of 10 years, or they could not be to be a part of the Senate. Sorry. To be a part of the Senate, you had to serve a 10-year span in the Roman army. And yeah, so. All right, on to expansion. Expansion means, you guessed it, war. So they expanded their territories pretty quickly. At first, when the Roman Republic was still a thing, Rome would take these cities or city-states that they have conquered, and they would the places that they conquered would also become a part of Rome. And that was a pretty big thing. They looked to expand their territories through trade and conquest. Started with control of Italy. Rome and Carthage went to war, the Punic Wars, that's the name. And yeah, so after the Roman Republic fell, I guess you could say, they started to not take them as Roman citizens anymore. Rather, they would take them in as slaves. So next thing you know, they just have this big overthing of slaves. All right, Artifacts 7 and 8, social society. So here we have the patricians. I think I'm saying that right. Which, as you can read there, the upper class of Rome. Patricians were wealthy landowners, senators held like the most power, and counselors and stuff like that. That was the patricians. They were rich. They thought they could do anything they wanted, and they basically ruled Rome. Society in Rome, it was patriarchal, which meant that the man was the head of the house. Women had many rights and duties in Roman society, did not have the right to vote, sadly. So here we have the plebeians, as you can read there, lower class of Rome, usually made up of farmers, artisans, and merchants, made up the majority of the population before they started to expand territory and capture slaves and stuff like that. So let's note this for a minute. Patriarchans and the plebeians had some problems during the Roman Republic, but they came up with the 12 tables, and that was the rules. It was a contract that the patricians signed saying that, okay, you guys have these rights and we have these rights, don't cross them. And everything was fine until, you guessed it, expansion, slaves, war. Alright, so last two artifacts are rulers. So here we have Julius Caesar. Everyone knows the famous Julius Caesar. He was the greatest one there, and he's known very well. Sadly, he was killed and stabbed to death. But anyway, let's get on with it. Caesar came to power in 59 BCE. Under Julius Caesar, Rome conquered many lands. Expansion, there's that word again. He also reformed the government, funded the libraries, and planned public work projects, meaning that everyone would have something to do in Rome. So Julius Caesar was murdered in 44 BCE by a group of Roman aristocrats. And that was a devastating time. Many things are believed that about his murder, quote unquote. Some believe that it was staged and that he wanted to have this glorious death. Many others say that the aristocrats that killed him feared his power and did not want a dictator. And that's what they saw Julius Caesar as. And let's go on to Augustus. So, Augustus. This was Julius Caesar, his grandnephew. His real name is Octavian, but he's well known as Augustus. After Julius Caesar died, Augustus took over, and Julius Caesar, his general, Mark Antony, was very not pleased that Julius gave his everything to Augustus, his grandnephew. And so Augustus ruled with absolute power. This began the Roman Empire period during the Rome, which was ruled by a amazing ruler. And then, so Octavian then becomes the unchallenged, given title Augustus. Under his rule, the Pax Romana happened, which is seen as one of the happiest times, but it really wasn't for the lower classes. But it did increase technology in the Roman Empire. So there's that. Here we have this little video, how did Rome actually fall, that we'll share with you. So here's this.
Hey there, This is the Groovy Historian. Today I shall talk about the fall of the Roman Empire. This was a period of great decline and fall which fell to enforce its rule and variously divided amongst numerous successors polities. The Romans have lost their strength and had allowed effective exercise of control of power. But however, due to the competence of the empire, major religious changes of the period, and as well efficiency of civil administration, there was major increase in pressures from the barbarians outside of the Roman world and culture which greatly contributed to the fall of the empire, such as the major complex of subjects and as well the failure of the state. The relevant states which pinpoint in history was 170 CE, which was the greatest territorial extent. Then after the accession of Diocletian in 284, the irreversible major loss of territory began in 376, large-scale eruption of Goths, but later Ocesia was deposed by Emperor Romulus, which was a will negligible, military, political and financial had no effective control over the scattered parts of western domains, which described as the major invading barbarians. But after the fall of the Western Roman Empire, most of the areas were not much around, and the barbarians have lived within the Roman society, and new empires and cities were formed, and the Roman and cultural cities were always influenced. But however, the fall of the Romans was in 476, and this was the only Western Roman Empire fell. In the east we had the Byzantine Empire, which lasted for another 900 years until the fall in 1453. Hope you enjoyed this. Check out my Twitter, Groovy Storm. Check out my site, officialgrooves.com, guys. Perhaps subscribe to me. Stay groovy, everyone.
We are getting the whole team, yeah? Yeah. I like this one.
Okay, thank you for watching. That will be the end of my tour of my Roman Museum of Artifacts.
In this tutorial,
So yeah, thank you. How do I end this? I don't know how to end it.